Anyone messes with me and the whole camp goes. Come on, child, burn me.
Put those torches on the floor and back off. Back off. Way off. You asshole.
You'd have done the same thing.
Don't argue with him.
Where's the rest?
Come on, man, I'm in it. It's cool, MacReady, it's cool, man. Come on.
Yeah, man, just relax. Anybody touches me, and we go.
Not breathing.
One to the dock. Get him in here, and bring the others. Now nobody gets out of my sight.
It's Two Dads One Movie Shocktoberfest, a celebration of the spookiest movies of the 80s and 90s. Now here are your hosts, Scary Steve Paulo and Nightmare Nick Brianna. Hello everybody, it's another episode of Two Dads One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are talking about the classic horror from 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing. This is our third episode in our Shocktoberfest theme month as we look at spooky and scary movies for the entire month of October. This was my pick. This is a movie that I actually only saw fairly recently in 2021. For whatever reason, I got a bug up my ass to go back and try to watch as many really classic horror movies as possible that I hadn't seen yet. Obviously, it didn't cover all of them or anything, but I went back and watched stuff like, The Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th that I missed scattered throughout the series. And, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'd never seen it, and that was fun. And this was one that came up pretty much as often as The Exorcist, which is a movie I love and have seen numerous times. When people are asked, like, hey, what is like the best horror movie ever? This was one that would come up, obviously lots of people have opinions on it, but this is a movie that would come up almost as often as The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people really, for very good reason, see John Carpenter in general as obviously being a master of horror. He has done it in so many kind of different subgenres in so many different ways. He gave us Michael Myers as a character, all this stuff, but this movie really just screams Carpenter, and it's just one of the best kind of creature features ever made, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Was this one you had seen before, Nick?
No, so I was telling you, for some reason, kind of like your thing with the Jacob's Ladder and the Lawnmower Man, I had in my head that yes, I've seen this. I don't need to see it because for whatever reason I didn't like it as much as I was supposed to or whatever. And then of course I put it on and I realized I don't even know what I was thinking about, but I have not seen this. And this fucking rules. Like within 2 minutes of this movie, I was like, huge mistake to have not seen it so far. So dude, I cannot wait to talk about this one because this has been recommended again by people who I know whose opinions I really respect on movies, and they said it was good. And for whatever reason, I was just way more convinced that I have already seen it and I do not need to revisit it. And I couldn't tell you anything about it, but no, I've seen it. So yeah, this was great. I'm so psyched to talk about this one.
Fantastic. That's good stuff. Yeah. Let's go ahead and just jump into the facts so we can get into talking about The Thing. So John Carpenter's The Thing was released on June 25th, 1982 with a, no surprise here, it's John Carpenter, R rating, running time of 109 minutes. Directed by the one, the only, the great John Carpenter. Written by Bill Lancaster and John W. Campbell Jr., starring Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, and Keith David. Scores. Very highly regarded film.
Amazing.
Rotten Tomatoes, 85%. IMDb, 8.2, 148th on the list of the top 250 all-time IMDb movies. However, we get a little bit of a mixed review from our friends Siskel and Ebert. Gene Siskel, thumbs up. Mr. Roger Ebert, thumbs down. And I don't know what to think about Roger Ebert now. I won't speak ill of the dead, but not a great look. Not a great look, Raj.
No.
Did not win any awards. As far as I could find. However, it was nominated. I wanted to call out that it was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Musical Score by Ennio Morricone, which I think is
What?
ludicrous.
Wait, were the Razzies won by, they were run by Ennio Morricone's ex-wife?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
that blew my mind when I saw
Insane.
this. I thought
So
the score was awesome. Like the mood of this movie was great the whole way
Absolutely.
through.
Yeah, and it's dark, and it's honestly, here's how you know the score was good. I can explain it with an adjective you wouldn't normally use to describe music, but it fits this perfectly. It feels cold. The score feels cold, and the movie's set in Antarctica, and like it just absolutely fits so perfectly with this bleakness and this darkness in the movie. I thought it was really wonderful. So I was shocked to learn that it was nominated for Red. Did not win, thankfully. Some other composer won for worst musical score that year. So that's good. On a budget of $15 million, which like, good God, I know it was 1982, but how did they do this with only $15 million? The box office take was just $19.6 million, 1.3 times the budget. That's a disappointment pretty much by any way that you measure it. But, it's a cult classic. Lots of cult classics did very poorly in the theaters, and this one is no different. So,
and they've hopefully, made up for that a bit in the post-release era. Video and all that.
I certainly think, if nothing else, this Carpenter Kurt Russell collaboration gave us so many other great John Carpenter Kurt Russell collaborations.
That's right.
If nothing else, that's something we can sort of thank The Thing for providing for us.
Right.
So those are the facts on The Thing. And let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
The setting is gorgeous. I mean, really, the movie kicks off with just this beautiful cinematography of Antarctica.
When the credits first drop, before it shows anything, I just love that the only actor listed is Kurt Russell.
Right. Yes.
And like Kurt Russell was known at this time, but he wasn't like carrying, it wasn't like a big enough star that you'd be like, oh, it's Kurt Russell and nobody else. Because the other people were notable.
I know, but you got to remember, Kurt Russell was a child star too, right?
Yeah.
Like he started in the '60s in like Disney films and stuff. But Kurt Russell had been on the scene for like quite a while by the time this movie came out. And I might have my years backwards, but wasn't Escape from New York before this? I can't actually remember.
Yeah, I was trying to think, was that 81 maybe?
Yeah, because I know that's two of the maybe four major Carpenter Russell collaborations, and I know they came close together, but I think that this was after Escape from New York. Not 100% sure.
But I do just love that it's like Kurt motherfucking Russell, like gets right to the point.
And then, of course, I always appreciate that John Carpenter is one of the few auteurs out there who would absolutely always put his name before the title, right?
Yeah.
It's John Carpenter's Halloween. It's John Carpenter's They Live. It's John Carpenter's The Thing, which works for me. So, but we actually forgot. We don't start off in Antarctica. We do start off in space. And we get the really cool effect of the movie title burning away in front of our scene, which is great. Yeah. But a spaceship, some kind of flying saucer, is hurtling, obviously not in control, hurtling towards Earth, and kind of disappears into orbit before we get the title card. And basically, I don't remember if we see it crash land in Antarctica or what's sort of inferred that it does, but basically that's what happens. It crash landed in Antarctica.
That's the only effect that kind of looks stupid in this movie.
Oh, really? Oh,
like I feel like the spaceship thing is kind of like, like I could have done without that part, but it's important. It is important to the film.
We do need the indication that there is something extraterrestrial afoot, right? That we need that. And look, it's 1982.
Yeah,
it's not the best. This is not Star Wars caliber special effects.
We didn't have Industrial Light and Magic working on this one,
but significantly better than the stuff in The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
So we can at least say that. Nice. And that came out a couple years later even. So yeah. But yeah, so then we kind of cut to current day. It's Antarctica. It's gorgeous. I mean, really just the cinematography in this movie is beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of white snow, obviously, but it's just, it's very, very pretty and very bleak. And I think, it's obviously very important that we really get a sense of how isolated these people are, how, there is only so much they can do with regards to reaching out to anyone else around them. They obviously have a radio, they have a helicopter, they have, other mechanical equipment to potentially move around, but it's like, they're not near anyone. They're pretty isolated. And so the first thing we get, and this
really
is
good shot too, of like just the shot of the helicopter flying and how it's a little shaky and like, I don't know, it makes it tense like right off the bat.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the helicopter's flying. There's two men flying in a helicopter. There's a pilot and there's a man with a rifle with a scope on it. And we realize very quickly what he's shooting at. He's shooting at a dog or a wolf. It's not 100% clear initially, but some kind of Malamute or whatever is running through the snow and being shot at by this helicopter. Now, listener, if you've listened to other movies before, other episodes of this podcast, that I've talked about how I do not do well with any anything where a dog gets hurt. It's not high on my list of things to watch. But this is one where, it's a movie that I was like, look, it's okay. I know what happens, so it's okay. Obviously, we learn quickly that this dog is not what the dog seems to be, so okay. But there's still, even knowing what I know after watching it multiple times, it kills me that they're shooting at a dog. Like, I'm always just like, you assholes, why are you shooting at the dog? Even knowing how it plays out.
Right.
But yeah.
And then I think it cuts, like, as they're kind of pursuing this dog and chasing the dog in the helicopter, it cuts to some of the boys at the scientific research station that they're at.
Right.
And we don't really know, like, what exactly they're studying, just general science. I think the sciences, I
think they're down there looking at Antarctica.
Yeah.
What can we find down here?
What's happening down here?
We'll study the weather. We'll study the movement of the climate. We'll try to like dig for stuff. Like who knows, right? There's a lot of research centers and a lot of research stations in Antarctica. And this is one of them, basically.
They have one of the sickest man cave situations I've ever seen. I mean, if you're going to be like a bunch of dudes who just have to like bro it up for 4 months through the winter in Antarctica, like looking through microscopes, you may as well have like a good poker table, a pool table with a ping pong top.
That's right.
I don't know if you've ever been involved in moving a pool table, but if I had to move one like from my house to another house next door, I would be like, fuck it, I don't want this thing. Yeah, right. Imagine taking one out to Antarctica. Oh my God, what a nightmare.
I choose to believe that they assembled it there. They laid the felt, everything. They had to put it all together by themselves. But we're introduced to a handful of the characters here, and it's a large group. It's a group of like 11 or 12 guys, right? Like, and so there's cooks and there's like, scientists and doctors and there's dudes like hanging out. And one of the people that we see is Kurt Russell, sporting the best beard I've ever seen in my life. Probably
pretty good.
Really amazing. Congratulations, Kurt, on the beard. But he is playing like a computer chess.
Yes.
And it looks like it's like the whole computer is just a chess playing computer, right? This 82, it's not like you put a disc in the thing to play a game. It's just, it's a chess computer. And it beats him.
Yep.
And he's not happy about it. And he literally says, cheating bitch, and like pours his J&B scotch like into the computer, which is like, well, now that's ruined.
You have many months still out here.
One has to assume.
What if Wilford Brimley wanted to play chess?
Right, exactly.
Like, what if someone else wanted to use that? That, to me, is a bullshit move. I mean, throw the glass up against a wall, watch it shatter, deal with that satisfaction, then sweep it up. Like, then you're okay. But, yeah, I didn't like Kurt destroying, like, a key piece of entertainment.
It just doesn't make sense.
Isolated area.
Like, why would you do it? Like, first of all, dude, just accept that you're not that good at chess and, like, move on with your life. Get better. Like, it's like my son screaming at the WWE game on his Xbox. Like, dude, just keep practicing. You'll get better. It'll be fine. Chill out. Anyway.
So the Norwegian chopper now has kind of gotten the attention of the guys that are in the base here because it's circling the base.
Right. The dog is basically running straight for their base, the Americans. Yeah.
And they're kind of like, well, what's going on? They could see on the tail that it says Nord or something that. And so they know that there's other like research stations around. So that's kind of like who their colleagues are out there, is people that are still a very long helicopter ride away, but they're kind of in the neighborhood.
Right, exactly. Right. And in all likelihood don't speak the same languages. They're from countries all over the world. Like, there's that element of it too. But one of the people, one of the doctors, I think, recognizes that it's Norwegian, basically, like that. Which is funny because then several of the characters over the beginning of this movie refer to them as Swedes or Swedish, or whatever, and he goes,
perfect.
Norwegian. He keeps saying they're Norwegian, they're not Swedish. But basically the helicopter lands near the base as the dog has like run and is now like, basically interacting with the Americans. And one of the guys, like the Norwegians they've been shooting, but they've also been dropping grenades to try to blow the dog up as they've been flying. And the guy with the gun gets out and starts charging towards the base, but the pilot like has a grenade and he ends up like dropping it in the snow and can't get it out because it falls down through several feet, it looks like, of snow, and blows up himself and the helicopter. And so now the Norwegians aren't getting back.
No. And just to the tension of the scene, it is very cool that we don't have subtitles of what the Norwegian guys are saying or anything. So we're in the same, like, what the fuck is going on position. This helicopter comes in and they're coming after our dog.
Well, it's not our dog, but they're coming after a dog, and that doesn't make any sense. And of course, then the Norwegian goes to shoot at the dog and like grazes one of the Americans in the leg. And actually shoots. I mean, it's not a bad gunshot, but it hits him and he falls. And it's like, well, now they've shot at us. And so now they have to treat this like they're under attack. And so the captain, Gary, he ends up like knocking the glass out of the window, which is like, bro, it's Antarctica. You now don't have glass in that window. You're going to let in all
short-sighted
the
move, dude. That's a
cold and
chess
everything.
computer ruining style move.
Exactly. But he busts out the glass and actually shoots with one of the best freaking single pistol shots I've ever seen in my life. Just hits the Norwegian right between the eyes and puts him down. So at least now, the threat from the Norwegian helicopter crew is dealt with.
Yeah.
They won't be shooting at the dog or anyone else anymore.
And the guys are like, okay, now we have 2 dead guys and an exploded helicopter here.
Right. Yep.
What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. And it's dog. And like, what is all this?
So this dog was not one of their like stable of dogs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. The dog came from the Norwegian. The dog was one of the Norwegian's dogs.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like, and we learned later why they were trying to kill it. But like, yeah, it's basically they're there now. They kind of welcome the dog in, but the dog's kind of just wandering the camp or whatever. We get introduced to a bunch of the other folks, the other like research folks. One of the things I always thought was interesting, so there's a doctor named Copper, who's the doc basically of the group. There's a couple of scientists and obviously biologists type scientists, but there's one who they keep referring to as Doc. And I always have been blown away from ever since I saw this movie. Like in 1982, this middle-aged man has a nose ring, like a full-on
it's
loop nose ring.
The most progressive thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
It seems so strange.
You know what though? Maybe that's why you got pushed out to Antarctica. They're like, I'm sorry, you can't work in Cleveland anymore. We're going to ship you out to Antarctica.
Sorry, the Mayo Clinic does not allow for nose rings on our physicians. Bye-bye.
And then one of the other guys, TK Carter of Saved by the Bell fame, is going around on roller skates, which I enjoy.
Yep.
You got to love the roller skate person in the movies of this era.
Absolutely. There's always somebody. In general, I love this crew of scientists and researchers and whatever. I've always, ever since I saw the thing for the first time, I've debated whether or not I feel like this is my favorite sort of crew of misfits, or is it Alien? Is it the crew of the Nostromo and Alien? Because they're both like similar kind of like really smart sciencey people, but who are also like, cast-offs or sort of, afterthought type folks that are all kind of put together because they're all a little crazy and
you
weird,
have to be, I mean, you're not going to be like the most like socially adept person if you take that kind of position.
Right.
Like you're running from something or you're being pushed away from something.
It's like the futuristic version of the French Foreign Legion or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So, but yeah, so basically, so Kurt Russell's character, MacReady, who they call Mac, and the doc, Copper, Copper wants to go to the Norwegian base to find out what's going on.
Yep.
Like, why were they doing this? We now have, they said they've got 2 dead Norwegians and a blown up helicopter, and we don't know what the hell's going on. We got to go find out. And so Mac agrees, 'cause he's the helicopter pilot. He's like, all right, I'll fly you out there. So Mac and the doc go and look, they're going to go to the Norwegian base. They go to take off, and we get a really interesting scene with the dog, right, that they've found, and he's wandering the base.
Yeah.
And he wanders into somebody's room.
Right.
And we only see a silhouette of this person. And it does sort of like, by only seeing the silhouette, I feel like we eliminate a handful of people. Like there's a couple of people whose hair is very different, so it's not them, whatever. But it really does not make it clear who is this dog wandering into the room with. And it isn't, I really love it because it isn't even all that ominous at first.
No.
It's weird that we see only the man's shadow.
Yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't really give us an indication that something bad is happening.
Well, because we have no way, like no reason to think that the dog, there's anything weird with the dog, is that he was being chased.
Yeah.
I do want to say here, Kurt Russell, Mac getting into the helicopter, he has this special like crumbled sombrero / like Pharrell's hat looking thing that he wears. He is covering probably the best haircut I've ever seen with the worst hat I've ever seen. It is unbelievably shitty. It's and impractical.
Right.
Because if you want a hat that's going to blow off your head, dude, that is your hat.
You know what it looks like? I don't know if you're familiar with the mascot of the San Francisco 49ers, Sourdough Sam. It's Sourdough Sam's hat. It's literally what it looks like. Oh man. So they land at the Norwegian base, and it's like all smoking and destroyed. It looks like the Lars's farmstead on Tatooine when Luke gets back with Obi-Wan and the stormtroopers have blown it up. It's just all smoking and terrible. So they land and they're looking around and they find this like fire pit with a corpse in it that is just the most crazy looking. What the fuck am I looking at? What kind of body part is that? Why are there 2 of those?
People like just kind of melted together.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But they see this crazy thing and they're just like, that's insane. So they need to go and, kind of start looking through the rest of the the base and kind of like, what can they find? They don't really find anything of that much interest, although Doc does find a bunch of papers, obviously written in Norwegian.
Yeah.
But he's like, we should collect this in case we want to do it. I mean, they obviously didn't have Google Translate back then, but maybe they can get them to somebody who can translate them. But then Mac later, deeper in, finds this room with this huge block of ice where it's like a big chunk of it out of the middle has been cut out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, that's weird. And they find that and they find a bunch of VHS tapes and they basically take those with them. So they take the corpse back with them. They take these VHS tapes with them, the notes, whatever, and they go and they fly back. In the meantime, we see there's a couple of characters. So Palmer is the guy with the white guy with the curly hair, and then you mentioned, was it Carter from Saved by the Bell? Right. They're like roommates. He was like the cook on the show.
That's right. Yeah.
And Palmer, they're watching like I don't know if it's like Price is Right or
some game
Let's
show,
Make a Deal
right?
or something, whatever. But he's seen it, so he switches the thing. But he pulls out the most comically large joint to smoke. I mean, it is like, it looks like
it's Max Cady in Problem Child sized. Yeah.
But it also looks like a sushi hand roll. Like it's so big, like that he just lights on the end. So I just thought that was funny. This enormous joint. Good old 1982.
If you're at the Norwegian base and you're like picking up, you got their research and stuff, but like, we're not going to come back here very often. Wouldn't they also look to see like what kind of like man cave type stuff those guys had? Like they must have had access, at least like a stack of Playboys or like some a soccer ball, like just some stuff to play around with.
Potentially.
You're still here for 4 months. So as much as helicopters have blown up, you're still going to be here for a long time.
As it turns out, no, they won't, but
you're still here for at least
a few days. No, it's a good point. Other than I would think just, they're throwing the corpse in the back of the thing. I don't know how many people the helicopter could take or like how much weight.
True.
Right. So there is that element
bringing that
of it.
Corpse back.
Because that looks like multiple people or whatever, but but they are all scientists at heart, right? I mean, that is the point. They're researchers, they're scientists. Even Mac, who's technically more of a helicopter pilot with a rifle or the shotgun. That's sort of his gig, is just like, but yeah, so they go back, and the dog is allowed to just like wander the like rec room, like the man cave kind of area, right? So this guy's playing cards, this guy's playing pool, like whatever, they got the music playing, and the dog's just wandering until one of the guys is kind of like, hey, like, can you put this dog away? And so there's one guy there who's like in charge of the dogs. And this makes sense.
The bearded dude.
The big bearded guy, exactly. And so if you are going to be in Antarctica, it makes sense to have like a pack of sled dogs, basically. Yeah. That's essentially, I think, what they are, right? But they have a kennel, and it actually looks like a decently nice kennel. It's like big, it's like got straw on the floor, like whatever, a lot of space. So they send the dog in there, and immediately all the other dogs are super fucking not okay. They get real weird. They don't like this new dog. They can tell there's something wrong. And literally the moment the human being moves around the corner and leaves, the dog starts to change. Ugh. And it is one of the
very shocking, like extremely shocking.
There is a way, and I don't know if this was like, if this was done with like reversing the camera at times to get this effect, but there is a way that tendrils fly out of these things in this very wiggly, crazy way that is just so unsettling and unnerving and gross and kind of like just makes you feel terrible about it. But basically it starts grabbing the other dogs, like wrapping its tentacles around their necks, like all this crazy stuff. And the dogs are making a ton of noise. Yeah. So the guy comes back to like see what's going on, and he shines the flashlight on what was the dog in the middle of the kennel. And it is now this morphing piece of flesh that is just crazy looking and just covered in tentacles and grabbing the other dogs, like all this wild stuff. And it even attacks at him, but he's able to like shut the gate or whatever. And he starts screaming for people to come help. And so Mac, comes, and it's just like all this stuff, like the fact that, first of all, the fact that the dude like walked into the kennel without shining his flashlight that he was holding on it. Like, wouldn't you shine the light into the kennel before walking into it? He's almost attacked and killed by this thing, right? And he was alone. He would have been completely SOL.
I know,
right?
They're not careful enough, but also I guess they have no reason to believe it's as crazy as it is.
Yeah.
Though when the dog morphs into the thing, the way that the head kind of almost opened up like a Venus flytrap,
Yes.
like this really creepy. Oh, that's a good effect there.
Yeah, it almost looked like the Demogorgon from like Stranger Things or something, like that kind of style. But yeah.
Oh my God. Well, so before this though, because they had brought the body back on the helicopter,
Right.
we had Wilford Brimley's character,
that's true.
Blair, start to like perform an autopsy and get a look
right.
at this. And this is where I was kind of like, what kind of science are they doing? Because you just have like an autopsy guy on hand who wasn't the regular doctor.
No, but
right?
I think he's like a
But they're probably
biologist.
all,
That's-
they're probably
like-
all to some degree.
Yeah.
But also, why are biologists there? What biology is fucking out in Antarctica? So yeah, they basically have like two guys that could do autopsies
Right.
there. That was kind of good. Yeah. So sorry, back to the dogs. I mean, incredibly nasty, and those tendril things add so much to the creepiness of it.
Yep.
It just like really hard to watch, but God, they did such a good job to make it look cool though.
Yeah, it's it looks like a pile of goo with spider legs, and it ends up
Yes.
like trying to jump up into the ceiling or whatever. But luckily, they're able to get there. And Mac calls for Keith David's character to
Childs.
Childs
He
to bring
says,
the,
"Bring the
flamethrower.
yeah.
And sure enough, they light it up and they're able to kill it. And they realize, I think now, this crazy corpse that they did an autopsy on and couldn't find really anything remarkable, right? It was a set of organs, it looked human, like whatever. And then now this dog thing, there's two things they seem to be able to figure out. One is fire kills it, right? Because that's all they found, that the burned corpse, the burn pit or whatever at the Norwegian place, like, and now this. So there's that. But this is also when, there's like Blair is able to kind of indicate like that he's figured out that like it was trying to change into the dog. Like it's part dog, part this other thing.
Yeah.
So it's like it's taking on the cellular structure of whatever it's able to kind of attach itself to.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting sort of like the way they try to explain the science. I feel like they did a really good job. There's a piece of this I really appreciate where they gave us like enough info to be like, okay, so that's what that does. But not so much that it's like, if you knew what you were talking about, you'd look at it and go, well, that's just a fucking load of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
they didn't over explain it to where it sounded dumb to somebody
exactly.
who, yeah.
As somebody who's worked for almost 25 years in software, every time I watch a movie and somebody talks about like tracing an IP address through the whatever, and I'm just like, dude, you sound like an idiot. You don't, none of that is none of that works that way. Like, stop it,
Yeah.
So none of this was like so detail oriented that we were like able to poke holes in it. It's more just like, hey, there's this alien thing. It copies these cells, tries to become the thing that it's copying. Okay, good enough.
Good amount of explanation. Yeah, that was and they like are pretty quick to kind of understand what this thing is capable of.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing when they go in and they torch it with the flamethrower, they put it out so quick.
Yeah.
I feel like
Let it burn.
let it burn a little bit, dude.
Let it burn.
I know the roof is on fire. It wasn't maybe popular then, but we gotta let that motherfucker burn.
That's funny because I wasn't thinking Bloodhound Gang. I first thought of Sublime. Let it burn. Gotta let it burn. Wanna let it burn.
And so this autopsy of the thing that Brimley is doing is kind of like the bug dissection in Starship Troopers, like very gooey and very
like naming organs though. It's like,
Yeah.
we've got lungs and a spleen, and kidneys and and everything. But yeah, it's so they do that, they figure that out. But they, it's sort of like now they don't know who's been like alone with the dog, and they're kind of like starting to question like obviously the dog was trying to change into other dogs, but really, Blair's theory is that like it's going to want to be a person, like it's
right, because they saw the human elements in the thing they brought from Norway.
Exactly. So they know it's tried to take over humans, or maybe has successfully done it at some time. And this is, I think, when they end up checking the VHS tapes that they brought back from Norway's base, from the Norwegian Research Center, and they see that the Norwegians found this crater. They said something, like a few kilometers north of like where they were stationed, and they dug up metal. It was a big chunk of metal. They even like blew up part of it, like whatever. And so I know Mac, and then I remember which other, but a couple of other people, 3 of them go out to go check out the spot where they believe that the Norwegians are doing this. And so they go and they look and they find it, and they, kind of like look, I don't think they get into it. I think they just kind of investigate it, but then they're able to find nearby where that big block of ice was like cut up and taken to Norway. Like it was clear they excavated this, body or whatever it must have been. Like the thing came out of the ice there. And so they start, basically when they get back, they're explaining to everybody kind of what they found. It's like, so, basically, one of the scientists who's there says, based on the ice that's above this, like this could have been here for 100,000 years. Like the amount of perma ice. It's like, like this is a long, long time ago that this came here. And so that's sort of the explanation is like, well, that means that something, either crawled out or got thrown, from the crash or whatever, and ended up getting covered in ice and then just, not purified, but like just embalmed basically for all that time and was able to come back once the Norwegians dug it up and thawed it out. And one of the best lines for Keith David in the whole movie is here where he goes, I just cannot believe any of this voodoo bullshit. And I love that.
Good old Keith David, man. The site of the saucer crash, like this crater that they're in, I really love the way that they filmed this, where it was like hand-drawn and painted art to like show most of it with like, them actually in a setting. Like I thought it worked really well together where it wasn't distracting, but also like you can't build that fucking thing. That's way too expensive. So they did a great job with that.
Yeah, it's what they call matte backgrounds. They did it a ton in the Star Wars movies. Like almost every scene in Star Wars that was at an angle, at a distance, had some amount of matte backgrounds done where, 90% of the stormtroopers in the scene were actually just drawn, painted, and then everybody else was a person kind of thing. I agree. It's another example of when you have somebody like Carpenter, I feel like Sam Raimi's the same way. There's other filmmakers we've seen the same way where it's like, they deal well with being restricted by the technology.
It's almost like, okay, if you need a $50 million movie made for $15 million, like this is your guy that'll figure out a way to do it.
Exactly. And so, it's very, very cool. And I think at this point is when Blair does like a simulation right on the computer. And so he's sort of like, and again, I don't really know what he would be using to do this or like what sort of like parameters he was putting in. But the idea was he was watching it. This is what it does to cells. This is where it takes over different things, whatever. And it was like, it basically analyzed and said, if the thing gets out to populated areas, that it would take 27,000 hours to overtake every single human being on the planet. Yeah, basically complete human species eradication in 27,000 hours.
So it's like 3 years.
I did the math. Yeah, exactly. About 3 years, give or take. That's not very long.
Crazy.
That's very fast. Right?
And that for like the whole world,
the whole planet. Exactly. It's pretty outside of Madagascar, which is very locked down, as we know from all those games we've played over the years. But So there's that, and then. I think at this point, my next note is it's alive. So I think the thing comes back.
Well, and when he's talking, I think Blair is talking about it. And I think Max, like, we had to just burn these things.
Right.
And he's like, well, we can just burn the find of the century. That's going to win somebody the Nobel Prize.
That's right. Yeah.
Never hold out for a Nobel Prize if everyone's going to die.
Yeah, there's that. You only have 3 years to enjoy it at that point.
So I think it's alive because we see that there's still some activity in these burned remains.
Oh, that's right. They go to put it in the storeroom.
Yes,
that's right. They go to put it in the storeroom, and then it sort of starts to move a little, and one of the guys leaves the storeroom, and the other one stays, and basically gets attacked by it. Right.
And so then they're looking for this guy, Bennings, who's like one of the guys, a balder, like kind of redheaded, bearded guy. Looks a little like William Montgomery if you're a fan of the Kill Tony regulars. So basically, he's running out and they're like, I think it got Bennings. This isn't him.
Right.
And they come to a point outside where they've surrounded this guy and he has these kind of like creepy, like Total Recall taxi driver hands.
Yeah. Like he hasn't fully changed
yet. Yeah. He hasn't fully morphed yet.
Right.
And kind of gives them a look and they, take him out with the flamethrower.
They burn him.
Really brutal death, but
Yeah.
I do like Kurt Russell just flamethrowing stuff.
That's true.
You could fill a lot of screen with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have to burn Bennings because it's not Bennings anymore. It's the thing. So they do that. And I believe this is when Blair loses his shit. Is that kind of
so they can't find Blair.
Yeah.
Right. And then they go and they see that the chopper has been disabled.
That's right. So he's destroyed a bunch of stuff in the helicopter.
Yeah. And now he's kind of in the communications room with an axe and a gun, just destroying all the equipment, saying like, look, I just did the math. I single checked it. It's definitely correct.
I'm super confident in my experimental algorithm.
Yeah. This computer, I know it's not as good as your chess computer, but it is and he's like, no, like we're not leaving here. Like this shit dies here with us. Like we can't risk the entire world being destroyed.
Yeah.
So he's going crazy. And this is a really tough part. Like there's a big struggle because you're like, yeah, probably, but also is there another way we can figure it out that doesn't involve all this shit,
Right.
or maybe we'll need. So yeah, I mean, he's taking crazy measures.
Absolutely.
Here.
Yeah. And then, and so basically, like, they capture Blair, I believe, right? And sort of like knock him out and drag him out to Mac to the tool shed.
Yeah.
Basically, right? So because they say, well, you put him in your shack, Mac, and he's like, I don't want him in my shack. Let's put him in the tool shed. So they lock him up out there, and he basically says, like, I'm fine now. You should let me back in. I'm just or whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, pal, you can stay out of here. You got heat, you got electricity, you got food, you got water.
Right.
Stay here.
Oh, and he killed the dogs too.
Oh, that's
Blair
right.
did.
He did.
And by just like killing them with an axe and leaving the axe in them. There's a lot of axes lying around here.
Well, I feel like axes are the kind of thing you would want men of if you were in
Look,
Antarctica.
I think it's important, but I would say that like it's implicit that if there's 12 guys and 12 axes, each one is kind of like one per guy. So if you're burning 5 axes in a tirade, like people are going to be pissed at you.
I mean, I'm already etching Wonder Boy into the side of my axe handle because that one's mine. But like, yeah.
So they're trying to figure out like we need to find a way to prove that the ones that are still here are human. Like,
Right.
How do we prove who's human and who's infected? And one of the ideas that they come up with is the doc, I think, says, hey, like we could test our blood. Like we have blood samples from everybody.
Yeah.
We could test it against our blood now. And if there's differences, then you're suspect of being infected by this
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. So then they go to find their stash of blood that Copper is talking about, and it's been destroyed. Like all of it, the refrigerator was opened, or the freezer, whatever it was, is opened. All the bags have been like cut open. Like it's all gone.
Yeah.
And the only people that were present when they were talking about this were like Mac, Gary, the captain, Copper, the doctor, and I think one other person, not even 100% sure which person, but like there weren't very many people around.
Yeah.
When they were talking about that. So it's sort of like, well, who would have the incentive to do this? And then they start asking, well, also who had access? And it's like, well, Gary's the only one with the key, but he gives it to Copper whenever he asks for it.
Yep.
And then Copper's like, and I always give it right back. Like but so they're kind of like not sure what to, and so one of the guys just like Windows goes and kind of loses it, and he runs to try to find a gun basically because he doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Gary's the only one who normally has a gun on him like all the time. And so he's like, first of all, terrible trigger discipline by Gary. His finger is literally sitting on the trigger, not like down the side or anything else.
He already got to shoot a guy though, so he's feeling himself.
He's feeling
now.
good. Yeah, he's going crazy. But basically, it comes down to like they get the gun away from Gary, and Mac gets the gun. And my first thought is, MacReady is the drunk who like dunked whiskey all over his computer for losing at chess. Is this the guy we want in charge?
Yeah.
Is this
the most
like
even-tempered guy
is
that
this
we
the
have?
stable person that we want really, with access to the weaponry and sort of like in charge of everything? Probably not the best choice. But yeah, at this point, this is when Fuchs, I think, finds MacReady's clothes, or like, because what they realized basically, we kind of skip past this.
Yeah.
They found that when the thing changes into you or changes you or whatever, it tends to like tear the clothes, like because your body changes so radically as it's like subsuming you that the clothes kind of get left behind.
Yeah.
And so, there was like a pair of long johns that got found, but it didn't have anybody's name in it. Could have been anybody's kind of thing. But then like Fuchs, one of the guys, does find a ripped up like that piece of clothing with MacReady's name on it. So that's a little sus. We're not sure about Mac at that point.
So Mac is kind of taking the lead here, and he's deciding what to do. And he's saying, like, we're going to find out who's who. We're going to shoot people up with morphine. These guys who had access and everything. One thing in this movie I thought was interesting is, and it definitely adds to the movie and it makes it more tense for some reason, but I thought it was a little bizarre. They don't use flashlights ever. It's always a flare.
Yeah,
that's
true.
But it's like, the effect of the flare is like, the light's about the same, but it's like you almost have a mini countdown going on because something's like burning through, and it just adds to like the fucking, is that going to go out? Like what's going on? It could catch something on fire rather than a flashlight, which is just kind of boring. So it's almost like adding a little extra drama to them just like walking around there.
Well, and it was funny to see that and watch this and realize that after, a few weeks ago, we watched the movie Cape Fear.
Yeah.
And in that movie, Robert De Niro's character like lights a road flare and holds it while it's dripping some kind of horrifically hot substance all over his hands. So is that what road flares do? And therefore, should you really be careful, even with a gloved hand?
These
should
are
you be walking around?
No drip flares.
These were the no napalm kind of flare. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad they were using the safe flares. Yeah.
So Blair, I mean, we keep kind of going back to Blair a little bit, and
Right.
I swear I'm fine. Like, just let me back in.
I want to come back in. I want to come home is basically what he's saying.
Max. So like, it seems like the guys generally all live kind of in that main building where the man cave is and the dogs were and everything,
Right.
except that Mac has his own dwelling, which
They never really explain why.
no, they don't really say why. But if you're somewhere that's super duper cold all the time, you definitely want to be elevated.
Yeah.
Like,
Bizarre.
it's the most nonsensical thing in the world that he's like freezing his ass off in this like wooden tower.
Is this the landlocked Antarctic research station version of a crow's nest? Like, is he meant to be like on lookout?
Maybe.
Is that kind of the idea? I don't know, but it is strange, and they never really talk about
Yeah.
why. Yeah. But basically, they're outside at one point, and he notices that the lights in his shack are on. He's like, I left those off. I turned them off when I left, so now we got to go look. I think he takes Knowles with him, the T.K. Carter character, to go with him and check it out. But yeah, it was when he comes back in and basically is like, I had to cut Mac loose.
Yeah.
Because we got up to his shack and there was like ripped up, there was another pair of ripped up clothes. Like he talks about like whatever. And I found it and he didn't see me find it. And so I left and I cut it off because I think Mac's a thing.
Yeah.
And so Mac ends up coming back in and is basically like, he like breaks through a door or whatever to get in. And is like, now this is when he's like holding dynamite.
With a flare. Next to it, which
Very
seems
close.
like, dude, you're going to accidentally do it. Like I was so nervous by how that stuff was almost
Absolutely.
touching the whole time.
Two Dads, One Movie flashback. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade underneath the church in Italy, holding the torch above the gasoline.
Yes.
As it's just dripping in.
Oh my God, right?
It's like, wait a minute, this is bad.
This bad movie. This movie, whatever rating it ends up getting, gets a 0 rating for fire safety.
Yeah, real
Smokey
bad.
the Bear is not a fan of this movie. Although in Antarctica, good place to start a forest fire. Not a whole
True.
lot happening.
No.
you know?
That's a good point. Wildfire is not a big problem in Antarctica. That's true.
So now I think one of the other guys has kind of like passed out during this whole drama with Mac. And
Norris, I
they
think
get
is
him
his
up
name,
on the table. So what's going on with this guy? And they come out and they've got like the defibrillators. They're gonna try to chart. And this part made me fucking jump.
So gross.
It's so gross. But basically, as he puts his hands down with the defibrillators, the stomach pretty much opens up and bites the guy's arms completely
Copper
off.
the doctor now has both of his arms from like halfway up the forearm removed.
He got Michael Ironsided.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but he doesn't get to go run his roughnecks afterwards. No, it's definitely like freaky and horrific. And so we find out, okay, so Norris was a victim at some point, right? Because this is a thing. This is not Norris. And I don't think we'd been given really any indication that maybe Norris was a thing. Like we've gotten little hints, like Blair, there have been hints about Gary, there have been hints about where it's trying to make us think maybe this person, maybe that person, MacReady, like we're finding things. You know, I feel like the thing with MacReady is like, he's the closest thing we have to an audience, avatar in the film.
Right.
And so I feel like for the most part, the movie gives us information as MacReady gets it most of the time. Like there's a few places where it isn't true, but I felt like it would have been very hard to pull off MacReady having been taken over early on, but with everybody else, we don't know. And so clearly Norris was subsumed at some point. I don't know if he was the first one, for reasons we'll get into later. I think I know who that first one was, but I'm not 100% sure. I think we're never supposed to for sure know is the whole idea, right? But basically they start to burn him, but what they didn't realize is that his head is like coming off and it's now got the little spider legs. It's like the thing can be any piece of the creature that's taking over. So as they're burning and flame
every
throwing,
cell is important to kill. Yeah.
So as they're flame throwing Norris's body, right, his head has walked underneath a desk to like hide. And I think it's the funniest thing when it kind of starts just trying to walk out the door.
Yeah.
I'm just going to walk out the door.
Yeah, just sneaking out
like, and then luckily somebody turns and sees it and they nuke it with the flamethrower as well. But it's like, man, that little spider guy really thought he was just going to head out the door.
God, that spider effect is really, really creepy. There's tension, right? Because Mac is still like, I'm in charge, even though 5 seconds ago I was threatening to blow us all up with like a flare and dynamite and stuff. So people are skeptical and nobody trusts anyone.
Yeah.
And one of the guys has grabbed Clark has grabbed a scalpel, I think.
Oh yeah,
off the table, and he's kind of holding it. We kind of keep cutting back and forth. He's doing like the Arthur fist, but he's holding a scalpel.
Well, and he's the guy who was like the dog guy.
Yes.
So it's like
Yeah.
we also have reason to kind of suspect him a little bit because we know he spent time with the dog
Right.
when the dog arrived. So his Clark could be a thing. We
we
don't
don't know if like, is he the guy that the dog went into
Right.
the room or whatever.
But he tries to go attack Mac with the scalpel, and Mac just gives him one right between the eyes, and just that is the most accurate Magnum or whatever revolver, Gary's gun that now
my
Mac
God.
has. That it's been fired twice, and both shots were in between the eyes kill shots.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing magical revolver that's ever existed. But anyway, they figure out these other blood tests.
Yep.
And so the theory is if every part of the thing can become its prey, right? That means every cell is kind of its own thing or its own organism. So the theory that they have is if we heat up, a needle or whatever, like a coil of some kind, and put it in some blood,
The blood will react.
Even the blood should try to defend itself,
Yeah.
right? Versus human blood, it's just liquid. It'll just whatever. And so I think the first person they test is like Palmer or somebody, and he's clean. And I thought for sure Palmer was like one of the guy, one of the things or whatever.
Yeah. They have a terrible way of drawing the blood. This is
Oh,
definitely
God, it hurt.
okay. It's easier to film this way if you just drag a blade through your hand so that the fake blood can come out. But if you're ever trying to do a blood test to see if your man cave buddies in Antarctica are the thing, you should use like a needle or something that's like a little less invasive than,
Right.
hey, let me slice the middle of your palm
No,
and just
thumb.
have you drip it in.
No, it's the thumb.
They did the thumb.
And it's just
yeah.
the pad of the thumb. And all I'm thinking is that's going to be so uncomfortable while it heals. Like there's
Right.
got to be other ways, like doing like blood tests, like other fingertips that aren't as necessary.
That's
for
my
gripping.
ping pong paddle thumb. We got a lot of pong to play up here.
But yeah, lots of dirty pocket knife thumb cutting going on. It's
God,
very
yeah.
gross.
But this scene is incredibly tense, though, because like you said, we're not given a ton of information as to who actually is the thing at this point, right? We have some. So just every test that they're doing, and then the guys are getting more and more upset,
Right.
understandably, but also like, if you weren't the thing, you would, if you're not the thing, you got nothing to worry about, kind of thing. Oh, boy.
I realize your Palmer actually was the thing. Palmer's is the blood that reacts. I'm pretty sure now that I think about it. Like his
Palmer's
is the
like the sheriff guy.
No, that's Gary.
Oh, Gary. Okay.
Which one is it? The guy with the curly hair is Palmer, the one that had the joint with like the vest jean jacket or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like his was because he's the one that like then breaks out. He freaks out. He breaks out of his chair that they've held him in, and actually ends up eating Windows's head.
Yes, he like flies to the ceiling
It's
and all
so
this.
bad.
It's really crazy.
Oof. Yeah, because Windows, they tested him first and he was clean. And then Palmer was a thing.
And the flamethrowers aren't working either.
Right.
He's there and they're trying to, and this is another great thing with tension because they don't look like they fully don't work.
No, it's
the whole time they look
sputtering.
like they're just about to work, and you're just like, fucking get him, get him.
Exactly. And everybody's screaming at Mac and Knowles to nuke him with their Windows. I think at one point has a flamethrower. They're trying to get it to work and it's not. Finally, they're able to sort of like burn Palmer, but then they have to kill Windows too because now he's been attacked by this thing and it's in him. So it's like, you're gone too, buddy. So it's like they're just losing people left and right? Like Copper recently died. Clark got shot in the head. Now they know, Norris was killed. He was a thing. Palmer was a thing. Windows probably a thing. We're down to like, we're Mac.
Running out of guys here.
We got Mac. We got Gary, the boss. We got Childs, Keith David's character. I think we still have Knowles, the other black guy. He's still there. And Fuchs, maybe Fuchs. So the other nerdy one with the glasses,
and Blair, but he's out in his
out in the
cabin.
thing. He's out in the shack or whatever. But yeah, we are running low on crew here for sure, big time. But yeah, but then Gary is clean, and that one actually surprised me. I remember thinking for sure Gary
That he
had
was
gotten
gonna be
turned
the
at some
guy.
point, and it's like nope, he's clean.
So after Palmer kind of transitions to the thing and he eats Windows and they hit him finally with the flamethrower, then it does like a Kool-Aid man through the wall to outside, which again is like, you're in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Like, is this what your walls are made of? You suck.
It should be like 2 foot thick cinder blocks or something.
Right?
Like, why can you run through the wall at all?
Damn.
I don't know. There's probably some good reason, some kind of structural integrity building on snow or something, right?
We don't do good reasons here. We do wild speculation.
Yeah, all right. And this is where I put the note actually about after watching Cape Fear, I'm shocked anyone can use a road flare as a torch.
Yeah.
Because they do keep doing
Crazy.
it the whole time.
One other thing about the Windows death, which I thought was unfortunate, and my wife pointed out as we were watching this. So Windows he had his head eaten, and then they have to hit him with the flamethrower, but he's sitting right in front of the shelf with all like the jigsaw puzzles and books on it. So their entertainment once again just being destroyed.
I just don't think it's going to end up mattering. I'm not sure, but I think we can probably move forward with that. I don't. So now the generator gets blown.
Yes.
Right. The power goes out, and I think they think it's possibly Blair. Like, did Blair get out? I think is kind of right the thing. So they go investigate the shack, and that's when they find that he dug down underneath the shack. Right. They go down there, and there is clearly something that Blair's been building. It looks like a spaceship. I think it makes it clearly Blair is a thing. He's not human anymore.
Yeah.
And so they decide, well, we can't let him escape. Like, we can't let this thing get built and like whatever. Like,
he whipped up that spaceship pretty quick.
It's clearly got components from the snow dozer or whatever they call the bulldozer thing and the helicopter. Like, that's one of the things he was doing, was not just destroying stuff. He was like gathering equipment as well. So I think that's part of it, is he took pieces from these big vehicles and pieces of equipment in order to build this thing. But it still obviously was like crazy fast that it was happening. But basically they decide to go down into, so they blow that up basically. They like literally like send down dynamite.
Yeah,
and
they're like, I don't know what this is, but it's got to go.
We know it's bad.
Yep.
We know the thing is building it. The alien's building it, so it's got to go. Then they're like, all right, now let's go back into the base, head down to the generator room, see if we can get the generator started back up. Because if not, it's going to get, I think they say something, it'll get to negative 100 or something. And it's like, and then they realize, well, that'll kill all of us. But the thing survived 100,000 years in the ice.
Yeah.
So all it wants is for all of this to freeze, and then it can freeze and sleep and wait to be rescued someday. Right? I mean, that's sort of the thing, is that if we know Blair's the thing. I believe at this point we also know for sure right in the moment that the four men who were left are not the thing. Childs we've walked away from. He's meant to watch out for Blair. Right. But Knowles and Gary and Mac have all gone to initially to the shack, find the spaceship, blow it up, head back inside to the generator room, but they don't see Childs, and they're a little bit like, fuck, we don't know what's going on. But now it's like, we know Blair is the thing. Childs we don't know about because now he's missing.
Right.
But Knowles, Gary, and Mac were cool. We know that they're good. So they head down, and they're basically just going to blow the whole thing up. They're like, if we blow the whole thing up and keep it burning, we can, I mean, I guess their thought is we'll find him and kill him, or he'll die in the explosion, or I don't know, something, right? Is the idea. And I love this sequence. It's not a very long sequence, but the whole sequence underground in the generator area and this old storage room and all this stuff is so good and so creepy. They're running, lines, detonator lines with the dynamite out to different areas. And at one point, Blair just pops up behind Gary in like the scariest kind of jump scare, whatever, and puts his hand on his face, and immediately his fingers start to like dig into and kind of subsume Gary's face.
Crazy.
It's really bad.
So creepy. But what a great job of the film. Like, after it's already given us so much, we have this like totally unique death scene that we haven't really been shown before. And they're trying to, oh my God. I wrote down cheek glove.
That's what it looked like.
So
he was like wearing his face as a glove.
It's like if you're cooking a turkey or something, you have to get your hands under the skin to like put the seasoning and the stuff like that. Oh my God. So I did not like that Mac basically, he had all this set up to explode. Yeah. He had the TNT plunger. Yeah, I'm ready to be satisfied by watching that thing. Chekhov's TNT plunger is in place, And then the thing is just like incredible in size at this point and power, and basically like rips up the entire underground. Like I don't think there was a floor underneath them.
No,
or if
you
it was
can
like
see
in a
like
tunnel
wood
thing
is like flying up. So it's like there's a wooden floor underneath them, but now he's underneath that. And he's killed Knowles too. Like Knowles goes to follow, like he hears something and he goes to follow without saying anything, without calling out or telling Mac where he's going. He just walks and he gets taken as well by Blair. So Knowles and Gary are both dead. And now it's like we're in the movie Tremors suddenly. And it's like flying up underneath the ground.
Oh my God.
Which is
terrifying too, just to see how like, I thought this was kind of like a dude-sized
right.
entity that we're facing, and now it's something that
It's something else,
has
yeah.
this incredible amount of power.
And it like takes the detonator, the plunger, and
Yeah.
like grabs it from underneath. But that gives the opportunity for Mac to have like the pack of dynamite and light it on fire and go, yeah, fuck you too. He throws the dynamite in it, and it's just like, oh my God, what a like. I simultaneously love and hate that line. Like, I think it is like awesome and also so cheesy and bad. But I feel like that sums up John Carpenter's work.
But it's kind of like when we did the Army of Darkness episode, we were talking a little bit how the Ash character is so funny, Bruce Campbell's character, because his reaction is more what a regular guy would say, in that not somebody who had like this ultra clever thing to say, you know? So it's kind of like, fuck you.
Right, exactly.
Like Detective Crashmore in the I Think You Should Leave sketch, right?
Exactly. Yeah. God.
So he and the things are just like, it's, you know, opening into something and like all this crazy morphing. It's really disturbing.
Hucks the dynamite in there and basically blows it up, right?
Great toss.
And so then we see, basically we see the entire base explode. For no reason whatsoever, Mac is walking outside now. We're not really sure how that worked. But he's feeling pretty confident, whether he should or not, that he's gotten the last of them, right? So he stumbles into this area where, you know, obviously the fire is burning, you know, the entire base is burning, so it's keeping him warm enough for now. And he's got his bottle of scotch. He finds a bottle of scotch and he sits down, and around the corner comes Childs. And there's actually a lot of sort of fan theories about this last exchange, where basically, if you think about it at this moment, Childs has no reason to believe Mac is or isn't a human. Mac has no reason to believe Childs is or isn't a human. Like neither of them have any piece of information that would give them any indication about the other's status. So they are either two things talking to each other, which maybe that would be obvious to each other and to whatever. Like again, we're confident that Mac didn't get taken, but we don't know about Childs, and the two characters couldn't possibly know about each other. Yeah. And so Mac just like hands Childs the liquor, and he downs it, and they both kind of realize they're just going to sit there until they die. Like they're basically, nobody's going to come rescue them. Once the fire burns out, it'll just drop to hundreds of degrees below zero or whatever, and they're going to die. And so they're just like, okay, might as well go out drinking J&B, which if that's what you have, that's what you have. But boy, it would be nice to die with better scotch. You can't really take
a run out to Bevmo at that point.
No, you're pretty much stuck with whatever you've got, but that's fine. There's some theory, though, that this was actually an indication that basically that the Thing would never have drank alcohol.
Oh, the way that like vampires in fiction like don't eat or drink,
or would have reacted very strangely to it, or something like that. Like or it would have, you know, something like that is because the way alcohol kind of attacks our blood cells and our livers and everything, that it would have reacted negatively to it. And the fact that he just drinks it and hands it back to Mac is sort of an indicator that they are both still human. I don't know if that's an intentional thing or if that's sort of just like a fan theory or what, but it is something that it's in my headcanon now that this was that Mac and Childs die knowing that they are still human and feeling confident that the last of the things has been blown up. That's in my headcanon, but I don't know for sure if we're meant to believe that or not.
Yeah, that's a tough one. One. Because if the Thing could eat a guy who had just drank a bunch of alcohol, it would be ingesting whatever alcohol is in their stomach, and you know. We'll need a sequel just explaining this.
It's a little late for that, but you know.
What a cool way for it to end. Yeah. Though. I mean, again, especially with horror movies and stuff, you don't really want everything wrapped up in a neat little package at the end, because part of the whole point of it is like, fuck, shit sucks, and then the end of the movie, it's like, see, it's not. And then it gets better. It's just like, I told you it sucks.
Yeah. The closest thing you get to a happy ending in any horror movie is that the monster, the killer, whatever, is dead. Right. That's the best you can hope for.
Right.
And most of the time you don't even get that.
No. Oh my God. This is a really, really great one. And such a fun one to talk about.
Absolutely.
Well, Steve, this was your pick. So,
I'll take a first stab here.
What do we think about? Yeah, let's give this baby a rating.
The Thing is, it absolutely is one of my favorite horror movies. It's one of my favorite horror subgenres, actually, in that it is sci-fi horror. You know, I include Alien in this category, Event Horizon in this category, Species, even Predator to an extent. You know, there's sort of the sci-fi horror movie. And I love that subgenre. And this is really one of the, you know, peak, I think along with Alien is probably like one of the peak early sci-fi horrors that really, really works. And it's just a fantastic movie. John Carpenter does fantastic work. Kurt Russell and Keith David are both wonderful. Wilford Brimley's good in it too. The whole cast is good, but the interactions between Mac and Childs are fantastic. The way that they trust each other and then don't, and then kind of have to, it really feels very real. And it's a testament to the actors, I think. The creature effects are incredible. They absolutely hold up. The movie is 43 years old, and absolutely these effects hold up. Like you said, the opening with this flying saucer, not the best, but everything else, all the practical effects, all the creature stuff is really wild and really fantastic. There is nothing about The Thing that would keep me from recommending it to anyone unless they're just like, I hate horror movies.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have the stomach for some grotesque creature, effects, then yeah, this is not for you. But if you have a strong stomach when it comes to movies, and if you have not seen The Thing, this is absolutely should be top of your list to remedy that. I absolutely love this movie. I'm a 5 out of 5 on The Thing. I couldn't ask for anything from this movie other than what it gives us, and I love it, and I stand by the 5 out of 5 on this.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm super psyched that you picked this one, because I do not want to live in a world where I still haven't seen this.
Well, you're welcome.
I loved it. I watched it once. And one thing I did, sometimes when I watch something for the podcast, I'll have my notes and everything.
Yeah.
Even if I haven't seen it before. And I thought, for one I haven't seen before, I'm going to just try to watch it straight through. And if I need to rewatch for notes, I can do that. But I want to experience what it's like to just watch this movie.
That's good.
And God, am I glad I did that, because I loved it and I could not wait to watch it again.
Nice.
I think I watched it a couple days later again. But yeah, everything you said, I mean, John Carpenter is able to create this world, the tension between not only the people and the monster, but the people and each other.
Yeah.
The creature effects, the way that they capture this kind of mid-transition abstraction of it is just done in such a cool way. It really took a lot of imagination, and everything does still look cool and scary.
Yeah.
The head spider, all this stuff is very, very creepy, and none of it looks cheesy that it's distracting.
Right.
Because all the practical effects do very much hold up. They do look really good. I love young Kurt Russell. He's just stepping out of his computer wore tennis shoes era, and seeing him kind of evolve into gruff man Kurt Russell. And Keith David, you cannot go wrong with him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, and also, the score of the movie that got this Razzie nomination, it was cool.
I thought it was
the
so
whole
cool.
thing was great. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
So I am with you, and I don't know if this is the first time this has happened, Steve, but I'm a 5 out of 5 on this as well.
Wow.
I really don't see, if you like horror movies, I'd be hard pressed to pick a better one.
Yeah.
And also, I don't typically like real gore, grotesque stuff. It's hard for me.
Okay.
And like you said, with dogs getting killed,
Right,
there's stuff in this that is very hard,
Yes.
but it's so cool and so well done. And then it's kind of removed from the real world, because it's a dog got killed, but it's some Antarctic
alien
sled
dog.
He's not going to have a great life
Well,
anyway.
and
And it's not even a real dog.
The
right?
dog was killed off screen long before when the alien got it.
Sure.
Now we're just cleaning up the alien.
And the many other dogs are just on the
that's a
side.
bummer.
But yeah, The Thing, 5 out of 5 for me. If anyone
Nice.
hasn't seen it, for sure see it. This is the time of year to see it. We got to get spooky. We got to get shocking. This is
right.
the kind of stuff we want to be watching. So I love it. Great pick, Steve.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 from the two dads. I don't know if this is The Fugitive. Was that 2 5s? It might have been.
Might
but I
have
can't
been
remember.
a
You might
little
have-
shy.
You might have been a 4.5 on that one. I was a 5 on that one. But yeah, I don't know. We definitely don't have. If this might be the first one where we're straight 10 out of 10. It's The Thing. It's John Carpenter's The Thing. If you haven't seen it, you got to go see it again. Unless you just really don't have the stomach for it, then I understand. But if you can take a bit of a trip down grotesque lane, you absolutely have to do it with this movie. So this was my pick. We've got a couple more weeks of Shocktoberfest coming. So Nick, what is the next movie that we're going to watch in our spooky seasons series?
Yeah, so I'm going to pivot again, and it's a movie that is definitely spooky, definitely shocking, meets the criteria that we like to see, but it's also a movie that was, I think, very critically acclaimed, commercially successful, and more of kind of a mainstream movie that happened to have really horrific elements to it than your typical stalker, killer, monster kind of movie. And I want to see how this plays as like a horror movie and that kind of discussion. So we are going to go to 1991. We're going to see Jodie Foster. We're going to see Anthony Hopkins.
Nice.
And we're going to do a little Silence of the Lambs.
Wonderful. Oh my God. I love this movie. This is actually one of my wife's favorite movies of all time. And she doesn't generally like scary movies, but I love Silence of the Lambs. It's probably been 5 or 6 years since I've seen it. So this will be a good refresher. Absolutely wonderful. Definitely fits. It might not be a traditional horror movie, but I think there's probably some debate. I bet you could find people who argue, no, that's a thriller. Others who argue, no, it's a horror.
Right.
And it really could go either way.
And there's certain imagery in this, though, that does tend to stick with you the way that horror movie stuff does.
And there's so much that ends up becoming almost cliche, but it was fresh in this. Yeah. Right. There's a lot of things that became kind of movie tropes or story tropes, but they originated here. Yeah. And so, absolutely fantastic. I know, there was a lot of Oscar action on this one. It'll be great to watch that. So cool. Next week, we will watch The Silence of the Lambs. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Well, that about wraps it up. So if you'd like what you hear, and we hope you do, please consider heading over to Apple or Spotify and leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps new folks find the show. If you want to drop us a line, share your thoughts on an episode, tell us what we got wrong, or suggest a movie we should do next, you can do so at the show at twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. You can also follow us on Instagram at twodads1movie. Once again, this has been John Carpenter's The Thing, another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.